Conflicts between the immigrants and indigenous people have been an on-and-off issue since the arrival of the first Hispanos and whites. But this was the war that changed the course of the history of Western civilization. The last battle of the Cheyenne Dog Soldiers, the Battle of Summit Springs. Did you know this battle was almost called the Battle of Susanna Springs? Who is Susanna? How did the Battle of Summit Springs come to be? There is a long story behind it. We have to go back to the first settlements in North America. These first American settlements were scattered across the vast plains of Kansas. But from the beginning of the immigration of whites into American land, Cheyenne Dog soldiers have relentlessly attacked them. So the Battle of Summit Springs is like a fiery response to these attacks. But the fuse had been fuming long before even that. The first attack on the U.S. soldiers was on the banks of the Arickaree River, at the heart of Colorado Territory. In September of 1869, the very same Cheyenne Dog soldiers, joined by an alliance of Arapaho and Sioux warriors, stormed the U.S. Army, a battle that was later known as the Battle of Beecher Island. This battle did take its toll on the Army. The U.S. Army lost many of its soldiers. 20 courageous souls, including citizen scouts, paid the ultimate price for the rampage of Cheyenne Dogs. But the Cheyenne blood hunt didn't stop there. It is worth mentioning the role played by Tall Bull, the leader of the Cheyenne Dog soldiers. He was the big brain behind these one-after-one attacks, and the U.S. Army's immediate enemy. Again, the Cheyenne Dog soldiers, under the leadership of Tall Bull, unleashed their attack on the plains of Kansas on May 30, 1869. A day stained with the blood of innocent people, and haunted by the bone-chilling echoes of violence. The Cheyenne Dog soldiers raided the settlers' homes and left a trail of death and destruction. Men, women, and even babies became victims of their hatred. The surviving witnesses clung to their life, forever scarred by the unimaginable horrors they had seen. But the horrors did not stop with just these raids. The Cheyenne Dog soldiers took 2 white women as captives, Maria and Susanna, and made them walk almost 200 miles to the Cheyenne camp. The Cheyenne tormented the captives along the way, extracting every ounce of life from their already crushed souls. The people who were left to live were devastated and sent the news to Army General Eugene Kerr. He wasted no time. Just like that, his 5th Cavalry Regiment was organized, which contained approximately 244 soldiers, to venture on the dangerous mission to rescue the 2 abducted women. A surprise was inevitable. Kerr knew the importance of surprise in building an upper hand. He wanted to rain upon the Cheyenne when they least expected. So he sought the assistance of 50 Pawnee scouts. These skilled warriors shared their analysis with Kerr, suggesting that the enemy camp had around 450 Cheyenne warriors. With determination carved into their faces and a newly gained strength, Kerr and his people set out, prepared to face the uncertainty awaiting them on the plains. They had to be quick. They had to block the Indians before they could cross the South Platte River and escape to Wyoming Territory. So Colonel Kerr pushed his men on July 9. By the evening of July 10, Kerr's forces reached a location where the Indians had camped earlier that morning. But the Indians were somewhat alerted by the Army's presence, so Kerr knew a decisive move was necessary. Kerr made the difficult decision to lessen his command to only those men whose horses were capable of surviving a prolonged ride. This resulted in a reduced force consisting of 244 soldiers and 50 Pawnee scouts. On July 11, Kerr's small group of soldiers set off in a northwesterly direction, aiming to quietly work around the Indians and launch a surprise attack. By 2 p.m., after covering a distance of 35 miles, the force successfully positioned itself undetected by the enemy. Colonel Kerr's plan was to launch a simultaneous attack on Tall Bull's village from 3 different directions on the advice of Major Frank North. But before Kerr and his army could finalize their plans for a surprise, a sharp-eyed Cheyenne boy caught sight of the approaching U.S. soldiers and hurried to alert his tribe. And Kerr knew he needed to move fast. In a burst of hurry, Kerr and his men quickly surrounded the enemy camp, and the battle broke out with relentless fury. The war between factions of the United States Army, commanded by Colonel Eugene Kerr, and a band of Cheyenne Dog soldiers led by Tall Bull. It was a calm afternoon of the hot and windy Colorado weather in the Cheyenne camp, July 11, 1869. They were not expecting even a raid, but just like that, the weather changed fast. A 15-year-old scout came running to the camp warning them about the hiding soldiers. The Cheyenne didn't even have the time to be shocked. The U.S. Army came upon them like rain. From all 3 sides, The sudden charge caught the Dog soldiers off guard, as the only indication was the bugle's signal for the attack. They were surprised, to say the least, and very much unprepared. A group of soldiers were advancing towards the center of the Cheyenne camp. The other one was heading west to disperse the cattle herd away from the village. The Cheyenne searched for ways to escape and run away. But alas, there was a third group, positioned to the east and effectively sealing off any potential escape routes. It was a matter of seconds between the bloodshed and their subsequent loss. Despite being outnumbered, the Cheyenne Dog soldiers found themselves outmatched and caught off guard. Their weapons were no match for the firepower of the U.S. forces. During the encounter, Major Frank North noticed an Indian emerging from hiding and aiming at him. He fired and fatally wounded the individual, who was later identified as Chief Tombo. Meanwhile, a group of Pawnee warriors surrounded 20 Cheyenne warriors seeking refuge in a gully. The Cheyenne were armed, but only with bows and arrows. They could keep their enemies at bay with it. But it was a matter of time before they exhausted their ammunition. Afterward, the Pawnees closed in and killed the entire Cheyenne group. The Cheyenne suffered heavy losses, with approximately 52 Dog soldiers, including Chief Tall Bull, falling on the battlefield. At the same time, General Kerr's forces suffered minimal casualties, as if taken care of by an invisible hand of protection. Only one soldier was reported wounded, but unfortunately, Susanna, one of the kidnapped women, met her last day as the battle began. But Maria miraculously survived, though not without a few wounds. Here's a tragic event you didn't know about the battle. Shortly after the gunfire stopped and everything calmed down, a fierce hailstorm with thunder swept over the village. Everyone started running, seeking refuge. Unfortunately, during the storm, a lightning strike tragically claimed the life of a horse with a soldier mounted upon it. The Battle of Summit Springs proved to be a decisive blow for the Cheyenne Dog soldiers, marking an end to their power and influence. This was the last and final fight between native tribes in the United States and the Colorado region. It was the end of an era known as the Plains Indian Wars. Following their victory, the U.S. soldiers captured over 300 horses and mules and plundered the village. The Indian village yielded a vast array of looted items, like clocks, watches, photographs, shawls, kitchen utensils, mules, horses, and more, all of which had been taken from settlers and freighters. As a final nail in their coffin, the soldiers set fire to the village, reducing it to ashes. The mission was a success. But the unfortunate death of Susanna Alderdice overshadowed Colonel Kerr's success. On the morning of July 12, Kerr oversaw the burial of Susanna Alderdice on a small ridge overlooking Summit Springs, with the best religious services they could offer. In honor of the late Susanna Alderdice, Colonel Kerr decided to name the battle site Susanna Springs. However, Kerr later decided to change the name when he discovered that the location already carried the name Summit Springs. What about the future of survived Cheyennes? Where did they live after that? The death of Tallbull was a strong blow to the Dog soldiers. It made them split into two factions. One faction migrated northward to join the Northern Cheyenne, while the other integrated with the Southern Cheyenne. Not only the downfall of the Cheyenne Dog soldiers, but the Battle of Summit Springs also marked an end to a period of constant conflicts that lasted as long as 5 years between indigenous nations and the U.S. Army in Colorado. It was their final chapter. The curtains fell upon the grand theater of the Plains Indian Wars. Who do you side with in this great Battle of Summit Spring? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Thank you for watching. We'll see you guys soon.